Welcome to Between Two Pastries, a not-so-typical nutrition podcast. Nicole and Annie are licensed and registered dietitians. Join them as they discuss hot nutrition topics, challenge popular beliefs, and have a blast doing it. Here are your hosts, Nicole and Annie.
Hola.
Welcome
to Between Two Pastries. Shaking it up a little bit.
Yeah,
this is Nicole.
Hey, everyone. Annie. I was trying to think really quick of how to say
that. Right? Well, it's funny because we just started and I totally almost blanked on myself. So I'm like, oh, all right.
I don't know Spanish. Only know French.
No problem.
Not very well. So.
Right. Today's topic is on beliefs, and more specifically, somebody had said to me, but I like cake, so therefore I can't be healthy, which I found very interesting. Again,
say that again.
I like cake, so I don't think I can be healthy. I'm not healthy. That's a belief. I can't be healthy because I like cake too much. Meaning,
really?
In order to be healthy, I have to not eat cake. I mean, that's essentially what, when you break down a belief system, that's what you're doing.
Whoa.
Right.
Whoa. That's really that's messed up.
Well, and so think about it, and I ask our audience too, what are your beliefs around what you perceive as being healthy?
Right.
And can you see yourself being healthy while living with all the foods?
All types of food. Well, and because I know we get criticism when we say eat all the foods. We're not saying eat all the foods in one moment. We're not. All foods are okay.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with any one food. It doesn't matter. And literally, don't say, oh, but not boxes. No, literally, all foods are okay if it comes in a box, if it's fresh, frozen, canned, baked, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
All of it.
Right.
So
all of it.
Someone is under the belief that because they eat cake, they are not healthy.
Right.
And will not achieve health until they stop eating cake.
Right. So that's the thing. When people want to embark on health, they just think that they can't do certain things, which only sets them up for choosing, not incorporate certain foods. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's almost another form of an all or nothing mentality.
Oh, 100%. That's all or nothing.
It's if I'm not just, drinking kale shakes and having kale cakes all day for some reason, that means I'm not.
Kale, and then I threw it away.
Right.
I bought it. I was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to do this. And then I threw it.
Yeah. And I totally agree with you. The only way I eat kale is if I I do what do I do with it?
You do oil and then you dry it.
I do like a drying out of it, and it gets crispy like a potato chip. So if my kale looks like potato chips, I will eat them. No.
Brian could only taste. He could not taste when he had COVID.
Right.
You could tell how alkaline kale was.
Wow.
Yeah. I know. It's just, I don't get it. There's not a soul in the world that can convince me that they actually really like their kale smoothies and kale kale by itself. But
I know.
I digress.
Right. No. Yeah. No, it's funny. I know we pick on kale, but for some reason kale had been the hot food for the past 3 or 4 years.
But you think of it this way: if I eat kale, therefore I'm healthy.
Well, that's just it.
That believe that truly believe because I eat, the superfoods, that means I'm never getting cancer.
Right.
There's people who believe that stuff, or I only buy, organic, or I don't buy the Dirty Dozen or whatever. Mm-hmm. Because that means I'm healthier. And that absolutely happens. It's, this comment about cake is so irrational. But as I sit and I think about it, I hear people say this garbage all the time.
Right.
I won't have a healthy heart if I eat butter.
Right.
Or saturated fats. I mean, we could categorize it too. I mean, the beliefs people come up with, I mean, but where do they get them from? I mean, I mean, Nicole, obviously I don't think we've talked about a pod, but we've just talked about it together. I did that cholesterol screening, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And, my HDLs came back as 50, which is the lowest you would ever want them. So I do what any client of ours typically does. I go on the internet to see what it's going to tell me. It tells me I'm obese, sedentary. Well, those were the main two. There were a couple more that were like, really? Pretty ridiculous. So I'm obese and sedentary, apparently. So again, if my HDLs are not high, therefore I'm unhealthy. But yet nowhere on the internet does it say anything about that my LDLs are the lowest, one of the lowest categories they can be. Everything was in normal limits. I'm healthy as can be. I just freaking I don't make a lot of fish and I hate nuts. Not my thing. I like nut butters, but not nuts. And I know that I'm going to see that low HDL number. I accept that. And it doesn't make me healthy or unhealthy.
Right.
But when people's beliefs are driven by headlines and garbage they read. I mean, think about the pod we just released not too long ago on cereal.
Right.
That's a belief cereal is.
It's an absolute belief. That's right.
Correct. These are all of the beliefs out there about food are absolutes. It is either right or wrong, good or bad, healthy, unhealthy. And I'm struggling as a practitioner in my later, career, even more so than in my early career, to try to help people change these belief patterns or behavior patterns around the beliefs. Mm-hmm. It's getting harder and harder because every time you go onto a news source or on the internet, the garbage that is put out there about food it's getting worse and worse.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really unbelievable. And I just want to back up because I've just pulled your text up with the shocking revelations that you made when you went on the internet.
Yeah.
And so you said you're suffering from obesity, type 2 diabetes, a sedentary lifestyle, and you have hormone issues. And you also have a lot of inflammation in your body, and apparently you smoke. That's what you said.
So, that was the other one. Yeah, that was right. Yeah, I'm all those things, you guys. You know me. A, don't smoke. B, I'm not obese. And it wouldn't matter, even if I was, that obesity doesn't dictate your cholesterol levels.
Correct.
Weight loss does not dictate your cholesterol levels.
Right. You can be obese and you can have very good lipid levels. They don't go hand in hand. It's not automatic.
Exactly. Thinness. I had a friend who was thin and she was one of the most quote unquote unhealthy. It was
absolutely.
Awful. Absolutely. And fat. I mean, we've had this conversation. It doesn't affect your numbers the way that they say it does.
Right. We're talking about beliefs, and so I think it's important. Right. These are beliefs that individuals have.
But truly, if I'm not me and I read that those are the consequences, that's why I have a low, HDL, that's my new belief. Boom!
All of a sudden, you're like, wow, I'm this really sick person.
Yeah.
Right?
And now I need to make sure I follow a diet. I need to go, and do all of the things. And I need to cut all of the foods that quote unquote cause high cholesterol out of my diet.
Right.
Now I create a new behavior.
Right. And that's the whole thing. So
it's those behaviors because of those beliefs. And now I do those behaviors. That's what causes the type 2 diabetes, the hormone issues, the obesity, is those ridiculous behaviors that people engage in.
Food doesn't cause
anything,
these issues. It's the relationship that we have with food. Are we using food? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that is what it is. Like, yeah, if you're choosing to have a stick of butter a day, maybe you'll have some lipid issues, but that's not even for sure. Right. Because we don't know the other things that are going on in your diet. We don't know what kind of lifestyle you lead. That's the other thing. We have to let go of, well, this will cause me to do that, and this will cause me to have X, and this will cause me to have Y. No, it doesn't work that way. And that also kind of ties into that's why it's so important to understand what balance is.
Correct. Oh, 100%. It takes me back to a case I had a couple years ago where and certainly there were other things going on, but there were huge beliefs that this patient couldn't have, you know, X, Y, and Z foods because there would be aluminum in it,
Oh,
or
sure.
there could be, you know, this yucky thing in it or
Mhm,
that
mhm,
yucky thing,
mhm.
and that obviously too much carbohydrate, you know, your when your blood sugars are high, or I shouldn't even say too much carbohydrate. Oftentimes people who are even more unaware than most people are going to say that's too high glycemic.
Right.
But there's still that belief that something that is, you know, deemed high glycemic level is a bad food.
So here's the thing on that, because I had someone that just brought this up to
Oh,
me.
really?
And I said to them specifically, because this person was talking about like hormones, and it was like,
Okay.
oh, well, I'm reading this specific diet on hormones, and I'm like, oh, geez, since that's my jam, I'm like, give it to me. I want to hear all about it, right?
Right.
And that's where the misleading stuff comes in. And I was trying to tell this individual, I said, do you ever sit down to an entire plate of carrots?
Right.
No, exactly. You don't need to worry about its glycemic effect,
Right.
because when we eat a mixed meal, which is why we need a balanced meal, everybody, all of those nutrients work synergistically together,
Right.
and they absorb into the bloodstream slowly when you eat all the things together. It's the same thing with rice.
Yeah.
You don't sit down and eat a plate of rice and just you eat rice. I mean, some
Right.
people would do that. I mean, sometimes kids, but an adult would, why would you wouldn't do that? Do you know what I'm saying? You wouldn't say, "Oh, this is my dinner."
Right.
I mean, no,
I
you're
hate
probably
those.
going to have a protein with that. You're probably going to
Yeah.
have a veggie. You're probably going to throw some olive oil on it or something. You
Right.
have balance all of a sudden. I don't
Right.
know. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
I got you. I do. I just but Nicole, like this is my issue. Once that belief exists, like we can't get rid of it. People like will not trust you. They
mhm,
won't believe you that whatever that belief is, that these high glycemic foods are bad, or that
right,
equals unhealthy, or I'm unhealthy because I, you know, have a very low HDL number. People don't believe that that is not true.
right,
They are so set on these beliefs, and it's
mhm,
just like the beliefs then turn into rules,
right,
and then we create these food rules that then create behaviors that ironically, like I said before, cause the very thing we are trying to avoid.
absolutely.
Diabetes, heart disease, blah,
Mhm,
blah, blah.
yep. That's
And then
exactly right,
for
though.
some people, they blame the food then that they got cancer or
I
the
know.
that.
I know.
I, no, it is your freaking behavior
Mhm,
based on these rules that
right,
you created because of these beliefs that you gathered
right.
from either inaccurate sources or your irrational mind.
Right. And that's the thing. And how often then I feel like the more beliefs around these things and the more rules people have around these things, the more that they want to rebel against them.
Right.
And so it still comes down to I have to have this dominance over food, or screw it, I'm going and I'm having all the fried things. Do you, like it becomes this weird head game then.
Mhm.
We've lost complete sight of
No, it's all irrational.
self-care.
Yeah,
And
everything. Everything's
like
out the window.
why do we need to dominate things with food? How about if we just like, do you know what I'm saying?
Freaking eat to
Like
sustain life. Like,
why do we do rebel with food?
right.
Like, like I just but that's why. It's because we get this strict stuff in our brain, and our brain hates constriction. we're not meant to live a constricted, restricted life. We're
No.
meant to live an expansive, abundant, joyful, like life full of life.
Right.
Constriction and restriction is not life. It's
Not even a little.
Not even a little.
Mm.
It's debilitating. It keeps you small. You don't even
that's what
breathe
people-
well.
Why do they gravitate to that?
I know, it's crazy.
Is it just so safe? I mean, it must be so.
Well, sure. Well, of course it is, because it's also somewhat tangible. It's still that black and white. It's, I can see that because it's a rule. Oh, it keeps me in line because, again, I don't trust some part of myself.
Right.
I mean, how often have we gone full circle and it always comes back to that?
Right. 100%.
So
I want to roll in really quick. This last week I sent Nicole a snapshot of someone from high school had started a nutrition company, and I was like, well, I know they're not a dietitian. So I did some investigating, and it's, they listened to a podcast by a very well-known podcast, health crazy person, plant-based and everything, and
with no credentials, let's make sure. Right. Just a lot of opinions.
But
yes.
No, and you know why people love him is because he's good looking, kind of a thing. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure. Yeah. You can get away with almost anything in that way. Right. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So he's got literally like the boringest podcast in the world. But anyways, fell in love with the podcast, which is plant-based, and therefore, took a couple of nutrition classes and now does nutrition consulting, and everything's plant-based. And that's not balance. That's not health. That's not allowing you to consume a cheeseburger, if that's what,
yeah.
Plant-based does not equal health, but that's another belief that is so powerful right now.
Right.
That, I have to be plant-based because that's what's healthy.
Right.
No, it's not necessarily.
Right. That's the whole thing.
Very hard to achieve good numbers in your heart, your body, by being plant-based. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's really hard, and oftentimes see reductions in muscle when people are plant-based.
Oh, for sure.
Period.
Yeah, for sure.
So I do steer people away from that unless they've got some, animal rights thing going on. I get that.
Sure. It's a lifestyle. It's a real choice, but it's something you have to be very diligent about. And there's a lot of things you have to make sure that you're doing, and people don't get that either.
But it shouldn't be a belief.
I agree. That there's only one way to do it. Oh, plant-based is the only way to be healthy. No, actually it isn't. There's like a million ways.
Like every way. So when you see practitioners, doctors, therapists, friends, family, dietitians, people who don't have credentials that call themselves a nutritionist, you see them saying, I am a plant-based, blah, blah, blah. I'm a keto, like I do, blah, blah, blah. That's, again, you're never going to achieve balance if you continue to have, if you continue to seek out people or happen to fall upon people who are advising you in one way. We continue to have restriction and constriction in one way, very narrowed way of thinking. Right. You'll never be okay. The cake then will always remain unhealthy.
Right. That's the thing.
And again, that's wrong. That's an irrational belief. Correct. That's rooted in something.
Right.
And you got to get to the core reason of why you think cake is unhealthy.
Correct.
Because I've seen it as its most extreme, where I can't tell you how many people I should just say patients, where cake is quote unquote not healthy. That's their belief, but the rule is to the extreme of they're not eating cake at their wedding. And like literally, I had a patient who got married, would not eat cake.
Jeez Louise.
You know what I mean? Like that's fucked up.
Yeah.
And I've had kids where they've commented that my mom didn't eat my birthday cake. Mm-hmm. So now they're traumatized, and truly that can be traumatic to a kid. Mm-hmm. And they remember it. Really, really sad that we've created a culture somehow over the years of even things like wedding cake or birthday cake can't be consumed by anyone, by everyone. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That something about that is wrong, makes me bad, makes me unhealthy.
Right.
I've got a newer client, young, very young, collegiate athlete she's phenomenal at her sport. And she engages in, she's got an eating disorder. I mean, I can just blankly say that. She reported how mom needed to exercise on vacation and mom eats this way. And she feels so awful that, well, my mom's, 50, whatever, with 6-pack abs, and I don't have that. And so I compensate by purging. I mean, she's very aware that that's what she does. And I said, do you think your mom plays any role in your belief patterns? No.
Except that's all you see. So yeah.
Right. So and she mentioned how she had a therapist who said that to her, and she got a little offended, right? So she doesn't see that therapist anymore. So I delicately said, well, I know you're going home soon for break.
Right.
I want you to just notice and journal or get your piece of paper out to report back. How does your thinking and behavior change when you're at school?
Yeah.
And now when you're at home.
Right.
And let's see how big of a role mommy plays.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think the reason I'm saying this is because our beliefs have to come from somewhere.
Right.
And I think it's very easy to say they come from media, but if you dig really deep, it's generally cyclic with our family. It's what we saw or heard growing up from aunts, uncles, moms, sisters, dads, brothers, whatever. And then now we're doing it. And we lose that awareness that those beliefs are upon us, and we are, putting them on our own kids. If we're a teacher, we're putting them on those kids, someone has to break the cycle.
Absolutely.
And I don't see it breaking in so many instances when that stuff happens. And it's really sad. So, and sadly for some people, the behaviors that manifest out of them can kill them.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. And again, that isn't health, and that isn't balance.
It's not balance, and it's not going to achieve that for you.
No.
I don't know. It's okay. Again, you're not a failure because you don't have 6-pack abs.
Right. Completely.
Just be who you are. But again, when we've cultivated a culture that's not you're not okay.
Right.
Ever.
I mean, literally ever.
Even when you do become okay, you fit.
There's going to be something else. Yeah.
And I got to create new beliefs.
Absolutely.
New behaviors. And it it's very cyclic. My mind was blown just when you said that cake comment. So
right.
It was going to go downhill for me.
It was all done. All right. Well, let's end as we came in. So hasta la vista, everybody.
Adios.
Yeah.
Have questions you want to hear discussed on the show? Find us on Facebook or visit between2pastries.com and drop us a line. Want to support the show? Find us on Patreon for exclusive content. If you love the show, find us on iTunes or your favorite podcast platform. Hit the subscribe button and leave us a review.